Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jacquelene and this is Soul Star Radio. Coming to you live from Melbourne today, and I'm going to finish off talking about the chakras. We'll see if we've got time to get to a call, and I do apologise for some erratic vision last week. We were talking about the throat chakra last week, so I finished off on the heart chakra and then got onto that throat chakra, and then what happened? So that can happen. And of course, we've had that movement of Mercury. It's now gone completely direct, and so we're more direct in our communications, or are we? This is an interesting year for people. A lot of stuff going on with that whole sort of sense of how we value ourselves now, and really looking at, you know, where you're really wanting your life to go, and to do particularly with nurturing of self, how we nurture, how we were or were not nurtured, and doing healing around that, and even around self-values. What treatment are you allowing yourself to be on the receiving end of? Is that, are you being treated well? Are you treating people around you well? And in that throat chakra, we find the ability to speak our truth. And it's amazing when you work through clearing all of the chakras and you work through them and different issues come up. And, particularly around the throat chakra, when you look at the throat chakra being blocked, you're sort of looking at that, oh, look, sore throat. Oh, got a blocked throat chakra. So where people lose their voice or their voice to speak, whether it's literally, their actual voice, like laryngitis, or whether that's losing their ability to say what they need to. And it's really interesting when, people get emotional, they get choked up. And so they go to say something, and it's like that, or, that, and then, there can be a nothing sort of squeaking out at the end there, and sort of a tone that sort of lets you know about, whether, depending on the pitch of the tone, it can be that grief, or it can be anger, or it can be that real sort of sense of shock or deep hurt, that sort of thing. Or maybe the person's uncomfortable about what they're saying, so you sort of hear the different pitches in the voice, of course. And, it's that energy in the throat where we get to speak our truth. So hopefully you got to hear quite a bit of that. That sky blue I was talking about helps give people peace when they're transitioning, or if people need peace. That beautiful light sky blue is a wonderful colour to invoke. Some people are real, really going at it all day, and that cobalt blue, that deep cobalt blue that you see around the edge of the full moon, will be relaxing and releasing for them. And some people just dwell in the blues too much and get a bit too deep and contemplative to the point of sitting in that without moving. So it's important when we're experiencing things to also, feel the ability to say, all right, so what's this really about? And when we look at anxiety, for example, and when people are having panic attacks, quite often it's that inability to express an emotion that is all blocked up and it's locked in there, and so we can go into anxiety to kind of, avoid that feeling and not even know that we're doing that. So people who are in trauma, and I talked about the sacral chakra, the orange, about the deep enjoyment, the sensuality, the deeper wisdom, the creativity, sensuality. In that orange sacral chakra, you also have shock, trauma, and abuse. And so the opposite to that orange is blue. And so in the blue, we find the peace from that trauma, or the ability to finally speak about what's upsetting. And when people there's that orange colour we often associate with, sort of the panic energy. They don't know how to voice what it is happening for them, and they're not able to find them. So that's where it's really good to be able, to look at the polarities in the chakras, different colours as well. So blue being a polarity of orange, being polarity of blue, and there. But it's a throat chakra for you. And what we've got, the next chakra up is we've got the eye chakra. So when we're looking at the third eye chakra, it's literally right there in the middle of the head and way inside. So, we connect pineal gland, all those sorts of things. And we find connection to dreams, connection to our guides, connection to clairvoyance, and all of those sorts of energies, and seeking to manifest anything. Anything we hold firmly in the mind is set to manifest. And so be careful what you're thinking. And it's also why the old sort of story of the monkey's paw, it's got the make 3 wishes, but you make the 4th, and with each you use a digit. You make the 4th and you lose the whole lot. And, it's that thing of wanting too much that can be, and so if we're trying to focus on too many different things, then we lose the track and direction of what we're trying to achieve. And so you're looking at that and you're holding things firmly in the mind, and you're only holding maybe the maximum of 3 things you're trying to achieve, or aspirations you have, then it's much easier to achieve them. It's best actually to try and have that one. But if you're an obsessive type, try the 3. Because you might be putting too much energy into that. I've just manifested it. I don't know whether you can see her. She's just here. I'm getting some love. All right. So with that third eye, yes, well, cats are very psychic. So, they will often speak telepathy, or perhaps, making sounds that let us know that what they think of us. But cats are often said to be familiars. You have different animals that are familiars as well. So looking for guidance, and we're looking at that third eye, it can be what you see as your spirit guides, which, in the noughties, after the 90s, there was this whole thing of calling them angels, and the angels are very different from your angels. So, when we look at that guidance, that's what you're connecting to through the third eye. If you're wanting to balance the messages you're receiving, it's really great to center in the heart. And it's really important to be grounded. So that's that base chakra. You're bringing those 3 aspects together and you have more balance overall. But that third eye, to manifest things, you hold them in the mind, and then you go about the physical action and words and behaviours to actually make it come about. So that's why it's important to hold it in the mind, but it's also important to do the doing. And that's the base coming in as well. So with that third eye, some people go, well, how do I open my third eye? And it's like, well, I get what they're asking, but the question's more, how do I open myself as a whole being to receiving clearer messages? That's probably how you would want to put it. And that's not just about opening the third eye. We need balance. It's like when, someone took a book from about 100 years ago and then took aspects out of it and then made a book called The Secret. And it only had one of the laws in it, one of the universal laws. And it was like this book that it came from actually had all the different laws and why they all need to be paid attention to, not to. So it's not just about what you want to achieve or the goals you have or where your spirituality can take you, because I think some people get hung up on where it will take them, as in, well, this is going to be my job. And certainly I knew from a very young age this work would be what I would be doing, but I didn't see it as a day job. I didn't see it as a career. I saw it as this is a life path. So when we're looking at the vision for our life and how we see that, it's really about that back down to that base and then bringing up the action that further enhances that. So fair enough, you've got this vision, but what's the reason for it? How are we going to do it? What are the rules? What are the limitations? What are the morals and ethics around how we're going to do that? And is it right to do that? So, these are important considerations when you're looking at what to manifest. So looking at that third eye, we're dealing with that colour of violet. And in that energy, we see the energy of Saint Germain. We see a lot of healing and transformation. We see that openness to spirits on the other side and visions on the other side. And some people will see visions with their eyes open, like I can just be looking out the window, la, 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 and then and they'll see a whole video running of what's going to be happening with that person or, something about them that I need to know. If I'm looking at tarot cards, I've got some here, I'm looking at tarot cards. So although you can see there's a static image there of a man and then a man in the middle and a woman and a man on each side, and you can see the 6 pentacles. When I'm reading that for someone, it's not just that static, image that just is on paper and there it is, it's been produced on a card and this lovely squiggly background here. What I'm seeing is I see that as a moving image. So when you saw the Harry Potter movies and you saw pictures of magical people versus muggle people, the pictures of magical people, so they'd be smiling or they'd be catching a ball. So when I'm looking at tarot cards, I'm actually seeing these things moving when I'm reading for someone. Right now it's a static image because I'm not reading for anyone, although anyway, there we go. So, there is that energy there that in the image it can become moving. And you sort of look at the Van Gogh paintings and they have a lot of movement in them. And I think they made recently an exhibition where his images were projected up onto a screen and were actually moving. It showed the movement that he was seeing. And I don't see things the way he does or did, but certainly in the tarot cards and images like that, I'll see them tell me a story as they go along. And as I deal with a certain part of the picture, so for example, in that card, which is gone for a wander, there's one on it. So, I may see part of her dress move forward and then her hat move forward. And as I speak about the different parts of the card, I'm going to find that, parts of the card move up, I speak about them, and then they recede. So that's the other way they can move with me. And this deck actually, by the way, is a spiral tarot by an Australian artist and, writer. So, it's Caitlin Jones. I'm sorry if I've forgotten who you are. It's a beautiful deck, though. I will properly outline that on a post afterwards later today for anyone who wants to know about that deck. But so with that third eye chakra, it's about the way we see things. Now, some people will see visions only with their eyes closed. Some people will only see visions in their dreams. Some people like me will see it eyes open, eyes closed, in dreams. Even driving down the road and it's like, oh, hang on, is that person? Oh, okay. Because there's someone standing on the road or walking past and I'm like, okay, they're not living. Fair enough. And one time I accidentally, strangely, a lot happens at Coles. So, good on you all Coles workers out there. But it was at Ringwood Target Square and out front of Coles, out front of the trolley bay, there was a guy standing there leaning on the trolley bay and he's looking at me very sternly and I thought, what have I done wrong? What do you want? And he looked really like, you or me, anyone. And no. So I did my groceries, I took them home, I got in my car, drove and picked up my co-host, went up to the mountain, got on the radio show, and there's the guest that my co-host has invited and hasn't told me anything about because we were just, bring a guest and it'd be pretty cool. I bring a guest this week, you bring a guest that week. And so here's this guest talking about, this William Rickard Sanctuary and all of this wonderful stuff about it and how it was. And I'm busy manning the panel and I'm dealing with calls and all this sort of thing and music break and arranging stuff and running around the back of the studio and coming back again and, da-da-da-da-da. And so anyway, towards the end of the show, she says, and I've got this special book to give away to a one lucky listener. And she picks up the book. I go, oh, I said, I saw him today at the Coles at Ringwood Square in Target Square in Ringwood, leaning up against the trolleys. And she says, you can't have. He said, that's William Ricketts. And I went, oh. And she's been dead for 15 years, Jacquelene. And I went, probably should have asked him a few questions. Would have had something interesting to say for the show tonight, I'm pretty sure. But okay. So anyway, I still sometimes find that, that happens. But most times when people have got a loved one with them in a reading, I'll actually just go, oh, and hello. Like it's clear to me that they're not there. But it does get a bit sketchy when you're out in the street and you're like, should I poke them? Should I just check if they're real? And to what degree are they real anyway? But, so it's good to get as much of a control on that as you can, but sometimes it's still going to do what it's going to do. And I think the important thing when you're sort of trying to figure out what's reality and what's fantasy is probably to listen to Queen. Is this a real life or is it just fantasy? But no, beyond that, it's probably good to journal every day, note your experiences, write them down. If something like that happens, have a good laugh, write it down. Acknowledge, accept, and release the experience, learn from it. And over time, it gets clearer and clearer as to which one's, there and which one's not. And you still, like me, every now and again might go, oh, okay. It's keeping you humble, that's what it is. And the thing as well is that, how to know if you're sane or not is really about, are you able to pay your bills? Are you able to go to your day job? Is what you're seeing most of the time coming real or true? And for the times that it's not quite happening, what were you thinking and feeling at the time that might have actually been clouding that, How might it instead related differently? Or, are you needing to just ground more? So that's something to think about when you're working with that third eye chakra. When we go up further, so we're going to go to the crown. So the crown chakra, it's right up the top of the head. It's actually a little bit above the head. It's like the 1,000-petal lotus. And this is that connection straight to the God force. It's seen as white. Some people go, oh, it's violet, Jacqueline. I'm like, okay, whatever colour you're seeing, I'm fine with that. But this is kind of like all the energies reflected at once. It's sort of all different facets. It's connecting with the much higher self. And there are chakras outside of the body, and there are lots of nadis all around the body that relate to different meridian points. So you want to get technical. But we are made of stardust. So we're going to have lots of facets and, there's a lot we as humans have in common with, other animals and plants and, we're sort of coming from the same place. We're all connected. But when we get to that crown chakra, we're looking at the fact that we are all connected. We're looking at Father Sky. Through the earth, we find Mother Earth. And so it's the bringing together in both. So we're like the bridge of light and each one lights up the rainbow. So when you look at, people, we're looking at the word human, colour person. So, in that light, we also can find that we have to address our shadow and we have to balance our light and shadow because, if what you're doing all day, every day is that one thing and you're not having some fun and it's all very, serious and heavy, then, where's the balance for you? It's really important to have fun in your life, to have balance in your life, and to not take things too seriously all the time. And this is why I think when you look at people with really digitized type careers, so they're doing like, a lot of these taxation accountants and computer programmers, and they're like ... dash number all day all week and all that sort of thing. And some of them are quite exciting people, by the way. But they're the people that you find at medieval reenactment weekends on the weekend. Yeah, they're in showmel. They're possibly jousting. They could be cooking a pig on a stick or a spit, probably more the spit. Maybe chickens on rotisseries, but it's, kind of goes back to the days of yore. And, and they're living out this other kind of reality or identity, and it's a great way of them, letting go of all of the stuff. You see people go to Comic-Con conventions and dress up as all kinds of interesting things. I should turn up as a Klingon one day, I reckon. I think that could be fun. I have to probably go and learn Kendo first. Maybe that or lightsaber training. There is now lightsaber training. You can go and fight like a Jedi. Although that wouldn't be too far from what I do during the day anyway, so maybe not exploring the shadow there. Maybe me exploring my shadow, given my work as unconventional as a psychic, would actually be to go and do an accounting course. So if you're an accountant, it must be interesting because there's probably a whole plethora of interest area that you just haven't explored or are. And if you are doing different things in your life, just look at the light and the shadow of that. Are you getting out? Are you breathing for yourself? That's the important thing because that's about balancing, once again, that light and having something for yourself so you can give to others. That's the important thing. And when we connect with that crown chakra and we connect with the divine, you can actually, through the breath, open up to receiving the energy. And then as you're breathing out, you can breathe down that light and draw it down through you, right down to the feet. And it's a really relaxing meditation to actually clears your energy. We talked about opening that third eye. And developing yourself as a psychic, the more grounded you are, the better. But if you visualize drawing the light down, right down into your toes, you breathe in to open up, you breathe out to breathe that light down, right down into your feet. And as you're doing that, you can stretch out and then relax, and stretch out and then relax the different muscles. So starting off with the toes and the feet, and as the breathing's going, and seeing the light pouring into that area, pouring into the toes, pouring into the feet, and breathing in and breathing out. So as you're breathing in, stretch out. As you breathe out, relax. And if you do that up each body part, from the toes to the feet to the ankles to the lower legs to the knees to the upper legs to the hips, to the torso, to the shoulder area, the chest, the back of the chest, and then right down through the arms and down into the hands and down into the fingertips and then up into the neck and up into the head and the top of the head. And if you do that with drawing that light down and breathing it like that and stretch and release, and with each release we become heavier and calmer, then what can happen is your ability to tune up your chakras, tune up your energy, is actually going to get stronger and stronger each time. So much so that the more you do that clearing meditation where you're focusing and breathing each chakra one by one, you can actually breathe into the base, visualize that red energy. As you breathe in, we can breathe in the red, both from down and up. And then as we breathe out, we breathe that red energy out, filling up each chakra and the other, right up to the top. That whole light energy, that white energy down through your whole body, down into your feet, like I showed you with the breathing and relaxing, the tensing and relaxing, and then you can breathe the fire energy up and the earth energy up through the base, all the way up to the top. And when you bring the red and the white together, it's like a candy cane, and then you can blend them into that pink. That pink is that unconditional love colour. And you're sending that out into your aura. You can put gold dust over it, could be whatever colour you want there. But as you're putting that around you, you're actually creating sacred space for yourself. So if you're looking at how to develop yourself psychically, and you're working on clearing your energies like that, it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. If you're also at the same time, as you're meditating and breathe and relax and then go, oh, look at that, there's that issue. Oh, wow, hang on, that relates to the base chakra in this way. So as you meditate in the base chakra, and you'll find thoughts can come up, situations you might want to jot down, what happened with that person, what you now realise, acknowledge, accept, release. So if there is responsibility of yours, you acknowledge that, you accept the situation and you release yourself and that other person, but you're also choosing to do differently next time. Yeah. If it's something that is just the other person, you don't have to teach that anymore. You don't have to be the teacher in that. You can release that as well. But by working through all of these chakras, and that can be a meditation you can do each day, it can really help ground and center you. And you'll actually feel a pulling of a line going right up, and actually your posture will start to change if you're doing this seriously. Before I ever started offering my first readings to the public, I actually spent 2 years doing that particular meditation every day, twice, for 40 minutes at a time, as a real strong dedication to the energy before I ever saw my first client, and long after I'd already been doing quite a lot of development training. Everyone has their own journey with this, and I really encourage you to find what works for you. Knowledge of the chakras can be incredibly powerful in your own healing, and also in really reading other people and helping to heal them, and to understand where your energy is and their energy is at as well. And that's something that develops your sensitivity more. All 5 senses will actually become heightened. So things like alcohol and, drugs. They're not really compatible with that, because you'll find that as you go further and further with that sort of development, those sorts of things will become more and more intolerable to you as your energy clears out. It doesn't mean that you need to walk around in a bubble wrap the rest of your life, but it's just letting you know what can happen. So if you're looking at developing, that's one way to do it. I'm going to get back onto readings next week. I really thank you for joining me on this journey through the chakras. In the meantime, there's going to be lots of lovely shows for the rest of the night on A1R Radio. Lots of love to all of you. Catch you next week. Bye-bye.